and just go to one-on-one life coaching, right? And we can focus on shadow work, or we can focus on other areas of your life. It doesn't matter what it is, right? I can assist with that. So, any other day except for Thursdays, it's $168 an hour for a coaching session, okay? On Thursdays, it is $68 an hour, okay? I don't do same appointments. If you want to book something, DM me. If you want to wait to Thursday, that's fine too. That's why it's there. $68 an hour on Thursdays, and every other day. Other than that, it's $168 an hour, okay? All right, so the question, let me move my laptop out the way. We are in the first stage of our shadow work, and it's denial, and the first question is, who am I? So first and foremost, we're going to do Urban Mystic Tarot. Urban Mystic Tarot, which are my cards that I designed. These are the major arcana, okay? So the major arcana cards consist of the Fool's Journey all the way to the universe. They're the first 22 cards of the tarot deck, right? The other 78 cards are minor arcana, and those include the court cards, the suits, right? These are major. So the reason why this is definitely a good deck for this question, who am I? Because like I said, we're more focused on our spiritual journey and our spiritual healing, and just focusing things from a different perspective, so to speak. And so the Fool's Journey is about spiritual development and identifying, who you are during the obstacles and challenges that currently take place, So I think they are important, right? So we're going to definitely tap in with these cards to find out who we are, to help identify collectively, who are we? And that one just flew out. Okay, so we got that one, and I'm only going to put one for now. What else do I think? Definitely archetype. All right, because shadow also relates to archetypes, and archetypes are pretty much constructs that we operate under, right? And this is actually, I have some work on archetypes also, because it all is affiliated with shadow work. But Carolyn Miss, right? She helps us identify and has done some research and some work on archetypes. And I've come to understand that we operate with 12 archetypes throughout our life, right? 4 of them, the entire consciousness already has. Like, you're born with 4 automatically, everybody, right? The other 8 change throughout your age, life journey, life process, right? Experience. Those shift and change, but 4 are always constant, okay? So I'm not going to get into the 4 right now, but I do have work and content on that material, on those materials also, okay? So it's very important to identify the archetypes that you're kind of operating under, right? To see what you need to do to fix the change with your shadow attribute and your light attribute, because each archetype comes with a light attribute and a shadow attribute, and for those of us sometimes that thinking good and bad, I would definitely recommend doing away with those terms good and bad and start describing you and other people or just things as shadow attribute and light attribute. Okay? And so I'm going to do 2 because I feel like duality is in place. You know what? I'm going to do 2 for that other one. I just had a little epiphany with the duality. So we're going to stick with 2 because we are dualistic. I was talking earlier about the sun, the moon. So that would make sense. And you know what? I think the card that I'm going to pull, each card in duality. One is going to be the sun aspect and one is going to be the moon aspect. Bam, look at that. Look at how this is flowing. Look at how it is flowing. All right, so I'm going to pull. And I might have to do that. I might do that for the duration of each session. That sounds like a really interesting thing to do. Pull a sun and a moon aspect. So let me get out Urban Mystic Tarot. And I'm going to pull another card on that. Okay. Make sure you share this. Share this. I know it's a Friday. Some people are still at work. I would have been at work at my corporate job if I didn't take off. Right? So, but send this to somebody. If you're on IG, if you're on YouTube, share this with somebody. Somebody may need to see this or catch this or be aware that this is happening. Okay? Soul's Journey, I think, are pretty interesting and relevant cards to this. So let me just write down what I've pulled so far for question 1. Denial. We got Urban Mystic Tarot. We got Archetype card. We've got Soul's Journey. Oh, wow. Y'all. I have to show y'all the card that just flipped out. So we realized that denial is the first stage of the shadow work, right? That's what we're focusing on. Look at this. Look what popped out. Denial. I swear to God. Tell me my intuition ain't kicking in. This is why I utilize these things. Oh my God, y'all. Y'all seen it live. Y'all literally seen it live. I didn't do that. Wow. That is crazy. I'm feeling this. That is absolute madness. How'd that just happen? This is why I love doing this too. It excites me. That, oh my God. I'm shook a little bit. I definitely got to make a clip for that. That literally just popped out. Tell me my ancestors and my spirit guides ain't here to help assist us. Tell me your spirit guides ain't showing up. Tell me they not showing up. And I'm being selective in the cards that I'm using. All right? Crystal healing. Crystal. You know, that's all about soul. So we definitely gonna pull 2 of these. I'm a little shook right now. That was interesting. Very interesting. Crystal healing. And what other cards can we use? Got so many. Alchemical vision. This deals with the subconscious. This deals with your subconscious mind, the animus. And I don't know what it is, the animus and the male and female aspect of subconscious. So we definitely want to utilize these for sure. All right. Alchemical tarot. Definitely want to utilize those. And these are humongous. Let me see. These are humongous cards. Humongous. huge. All right. So we got 3 of those. Interest, 2 of those. And let me see. We don't have too many more because, like, again, this is a this session is focused on the question, who am I? Right? For the first stage of shadow work, which is denial. Okay, so we want to keep we only want to use certain cards, right? I only want to pull certain things. So the last thing I'm gonna pull is cosmic cards, right? We want to stay aligned with the soul. We don't want this to be mundane, you know, or pertaining to the physical realm, the matrix realm, so to speak, right? And so I'm going to pull 2 of these. So hey, for those of you that are just tuning in, this is the beginning of my life coaching program, y'all. We're dealing with shadow work, okay? And so if you missed earlier, I had talked about what shadow is, what shadow work is, the 4 stages of shadow work, and talked about the guide that I have. If you want to click the link in my bio and purchase it, you know, I created a guide that has a series of questions for each stage, right? And so it kind of helps with development. It helps with integrating your shadow, okay? So just to put that out there. So this is the first session. And again, get some pen and paper if you're just now tuning in. Let me see. There's nothing here on YouTube. On chat. What's up, Belinda? I'm sorry, y'all. I do not know how to run my chat stuff. And it's on my iPad, so I don't know how to... Let me see. Highlight, mute, save. All right. Do I keep that there? There we go. Okay, so... No, that doesn't help me. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me see what I got. Okay, so is there anything else that I feel like I need to pull? You know what? I'm gonna go with these essential oil cards. I'm gonna go with these cards too. Okay, so we're gonna pull 2 of these. Now remember, the reason why I'm pulling 2, and it just kind of hit me, one just fell out, as what I'm supposed to do is because of our sun and our moon sign, right? And we are duality. And so the question, who am I, which is the first question that we're going to work on in the first stage, that is denial. You know, we've got 2 aspects, the sun and the moon. So that's why I have 2 cards for each that I've pulled, okay? Just kind of let you know. And for those of you that weren't here when I was pulling out all the cards, you see as I was doing the cards, some of them fell out, right? And so as I was doing my set of soul journey cards, literally the denial card fell out, okay? And this is going to be available for the replay. So y'all going to see this, like, that was pretty cool. Because this is the first stage, is denial, right? So, who am I? Who am I? All right, so again, this is for the collective. This is for the collective. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me, pertaining to shadow work and anything else, please DM me, hit me up, okay? Be more than welcome to work with you, right? All right, so we've got Urban Mystic Tarot for the first card. We've got the Hangman. We've got the Hangman, okay? And we've got the High Priestess. We've got the High Priestess. Okay, so who am I when it comes to the Hangman and the High Priestess, right? First of all, the Hangman is somebody who is willing to make sacrifices, is willing to make sacrifices, always sacrificing themselves for somebody, right? And to get the things that they want. So this is, who am I? Motivated person, somebody who is willing to sacrifice for the dream. Look at the imagery on the card. There's the skies on here, and if you really can't see, there's birds. Birds flock in a V formation. Understanding that, the sky is the limit, but understanding that, there are processes and procedures and things to follow through. That's what the birds symbolize. I made this card. So, the birds for me in the V formation, like, everything is divine. We all have our individuality, but yet somehow we still know how to flow and connect. And the fact that birds can flock in a V formation, and be in unison with one another in mid-flight in the air, just represents a level of stability, focus, but it's all natural. It's all instinct. It's something that they just do without knowing, right? So again, coming back to that question of who am I, just applying all that I said, somebody who knows what sacrifice is, what it takes, to get things done, the type of sacrifice that needs to be done. This is somebody who, is willing to do what they need to do, understanding, that this needs to happen, right? And then we couple that with the high priestess. The high priestess is in between two pillars. That's duality, right? Who am I? You're two sides. You're not just one expression. You're an expression of many. And if we want to keep it a little bit simple, we can use the sun and the moon. You're an expression of the sun and the moon, right? And look at this card. There's books here. She's in a cloak. She's in the shadows, right? She's in the shadows, and the moon represents the high priestess. So, this is definitely the shadow aspect, and that's ironic. That was the second card pulled. This represents our sun, right? So, when people meet you, or, as far as the situation right now, they understand and realize that, hey, this person is willing to make the sacrifices that they need to make. This is a determined person who knows that certain things must be done in order to attain whatever it is that they want as far as success and goal completion, right? And then we have our moon aspect, which is literally the high priestess, right? She's ruled under the moon, and this represents a certain knowledge, wisdom, clarity. And I feel like this is definitely playing out the feminine and the masculine aspect, because I feel like the masculine aspect is the sacrificing, the doing, right? Being in charge of understanding. And then we have the feminine aspect, which is the high priestess, which is literally a feminine card. She represents that energy that's soft, or that energy that it comes a little different, and we can stop and talk about that masculine and feminine energy, because people always like to paint Mother Earth as this nature nurturing, energy. And Mother Earth fucks shit up, right? Volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis and, all types of stuff. Snowstorms, ice storms, freaking, what's the stuff? Sleet, hail, hailstorms. Like, Mother Earth is about it. Like, she's with it all. She want all the smoke. You feel me? So we need to understand that feminine energy moves in a certain way, right? Water flowing. And then again, it's ironic that this card was pulled, because feminine energy is number 2. It's number 2. So, just looking at these two cards is trying to make us understand that who you are, you're a dualistic person. you're not just one side. You're you have different sides to you. There's a duality to you and all of us, right? Because this is a collective reading. And, we understand that there has to be sacrifices done. Whether this be on a personal level, on a soulful level, we're talking about soul, right? And shadow work, right? And pretty much I also feel like it's saying that, in order for you to continue to identify who you are, you're going to have to sacrifice, whether that be time and energy, to do the shadow work, okay? So, moving on to the archetype cards. The archetype cards, which I thought were really cool cards. So the sun aspect of who we are, liberator, okay? And so the liberator, it helps to liberate us from the self-inflicted tyranny of negative thought patterns and belief, spiritual sluggishness, poor nutrition, destructive relationships, or addictive behaviors. All right, deals with invaluable ally in freeing us from old entrenched beliefs and attitudes. You don't have to be a charismatic leader to have this archetype. A shadow liberator manifests in corporate, political, religious, and spiritual leaders who impose their own tyranny over others. All right, and ask yourself whether you have a lifelong pattern of helping to free others from injustice, adverse economic or social conditions, or simply from their misconceptions. All right, so if you're watching this now and on the replay, it's definitely who you are to help liberate people. Whether that be through information, whether that be just, slowly researching some things, whether it be, like they said, adverse economic, injustices, you want to inform people. Tomorrow, literally holding a conversation with Marlon Austin, who is a fashion mogul. For one, he has his own vegan cheese company. For two, and third, he's now into cryptocurrency, right? So providing tools and resources. That is another form of liberation. Providing information to people who would not be able to obtain that information as otherwise, or not be able to understand it or comprehend it, right? So liberators come in any form of fashion. And if you're watching this now and on the replay, then understand that is a part of you and who you are. In some form of fashion, you are chosen to liberate people, okay? And second, the moon that we want to focus on is Hermit. And interesting how this is the moon card, right? Hermit literally is somebody who wants to live in the shadows, right? I love how this is flowing here. This is flowing rather well. And so this represents recluse or eremite, withdraws from society to focus intently on inner life, devotes all energies to creative work or spiritual practice. Shadow hermit manifests as intolerance or loathing or fear of others, or refusal to help those in need. Look for a long-standing need to retreat into yourself to marshal your powers. So this is showing up in our moon. And so basically it says, withdrawing from society out of fear or negative judgment of others, refusing to help those in need. Okay? So that is definitely something that is identified right now. If you haven't identified that already, which I already know, this is part of my shadow, as far as withdrawing from society out of fear of negative judgment, refusing to help those in need. I had backed away from what I was doing, my practice, of coaching and mentoring, using divination tools, providing business resources. I allowed my anxiety and my fear of judgment to precede my skill set and abilities. And so remember, this can happen to anybody, right? This happens to all of us, right? This happens to all of us, but depending on, how much shadow work you do depends on, how you're able to cope and deal with that. And so sometimes that fear, we need to understand that fear does not go away. When I do things, when I go live, fear does not go away. but I learned how to manage it and move through it and let the other attributes shine. So it pushes the fear to the back, right? And then the more I do what I do, the fear just is no longer part of that aspect, right? So just understand that, okay? So this is great. This is really touching on some awesome things. Let me rid of Mr. Tarot. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions or comments so far? Next, I'm going to get into the soul journey cards. And like I said, it was very interesting because when I was shuffling the deck, this card fell out, right? And it's literally the first stage. It's denial. It's what we're working on. And it says, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. And so denial is basically just our fear of wanting to be aware of something. Our fear of wanting to face that truth, that awareness. And sometimes denial is a defense mechanism that we use to avoid trauma, pain, and being self-aware of us and other people. Right? I acknowledge my fear. I acknowledge it. I tell you all the time, the fear is not going to go away, right? I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. And I'm also aware that my fear is an illusion because I'm not physically in pain. I'm not in any type of harm's way, right? So right now, the fear that I'm feeling is an illusion, right? Nobody's here cussing me out, giving me nasty messages. You know, you can now program your social media to just filter away those spam and negative comments, right? And this shows up in our sun. This is a sun card that I pulled. So denial, so it's right there. So right now, you know, if you're watching this or you're watching it on the replay and you're doing the shadow work, if you're going to do the work with this program, you know, I need you to understand that denial right now is in our sun. You know, there are a lot of things that we are currently doing. The trauma that we want to heal from, we're not even acknowledging, right? But it stops today. It stops now. It stops when when you see this program and you're going through this. You know, I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. Okay? I replace it with the insight of awareness.